Justin Trudeau wants a tree swing and a zip line and to become a bee farmer and an organic gardener. And guess what? You and I are paying for all of it. Today, we're weeding through even more expenses from Justin Trudeau's official summer house, Harrington Lake. Remember, over the Christmas break, I brought you the exclusive story of how Justin Trudeau was accumulating himself a little bit of an armada at the Prime Minister's official summer house at Harrington Lake. Now, at the time, I told you that we had just received a big access to information document package about Trudeau's expenses at Harrington Lake, and I promised you that I would be going through it with a lot more detail after Christmas break. But at the time, I really wanted you to know about Justin Trudeau's growing fleet of pleasure craft that the taxpayers were buying for him. Now, the taxpayer-funded purchases included one 17-foot prospector canoe, specifically in red, probably liberal red, one flatwater kayak, one river kayak, two paddleboards, windsurfer, a sailboat, a pontoon boat, and even a ski boat. Anyway, there's more to that story, and you can go back through it and check out all my original coverage and see the documents for yourself. But today I'm going to bring you the next part of my look through these expenses and upgrades. Now, we can see here on page 46 of the document package that the upgrades and changes to Harrington Lake were requested directly by the Privy Council Office, the National Capital Commission, which is the government agency in charge of all government properties, and the Prime Minister himself. Now, this email here is from a man named Art Marcotte. He's the director of official residences for the Prime Minister, and he works for that government agency, the National Capital Commission. Now, the email he's sending is a follow-up to a site visit to Harrington Lake that took place the very first spring after the Prime Minister took office. The meeting was March 6, 2016. And here's how I know these demands were made by the Prime Minister himself. Here's the email body. Here are the documents we discussed. I reviewed my calendar, and the actual dates were as follows. March 6, 2016, meeting with the Prime Minister, the Privy Council Office, and the National Capital Commission at Harrington Lake. June 15th, 2016, final action items list and deck presentation to the Prime Minister's office and the PCO. The Prime Minister was there at Harrington Lake for that first meeting, which means this was pretty important to him because, as we know, he doesn't turn up all that frequently for actual government business in the House of Commons. Trudeau's sort of Captain Personal Day. Trudeau was the one that made the demands for the upgrades I'm going to tell you about today. And to be honest, I'm only going to tell you about just some of the upgrades because there are a lot of them. And Trudeau wanted these upgrades done before June 15th, before his summer vacation, before Parliament broke for the summer, before Trudeau's very first summer, taking advantage of the beauty of Harrington Lake at the taxpayers' expense. On page 49, the list of completed upgrades that were made because the Prime Minister asked for them begins. We also see the cost for the completed upgrades. Now, some of the upgrades, I will concede, are completely necessary to fix wear and tear, age-related repairs to a prime ministerial residence owned by the taxpayer. I totally get it. Like replacing the existing rotting decking and railing with cedar in the sunroom balcony. That cost us $12,000, but I understand that repair. There's also the removal of exterior lead paint and then repainting a tool shed for $5,000. Sure, that seems a little pricey, but Trudeau, he's not a guy that can spare us any more brain cells. I don't want him around any lead paint. Getting rid of lead paint, it's for the good of the nation. But some of the demands are sort of petty and a little ridiculous. For example, look at this line item here, potable water. To improve the quality of the drinking water, Canadians paid $3,500. Now, if the drinking water was bad and undrinkable, of course, we want that fixed. But that's not what the problem was. If you go up to page 47, you can see that the problem was that the water was, quote unquote, too soft for the Trudeau. So taxpayers spent $3,500 so that the drinking water was hard enough for the likings of delicate Mr. Trudeau. But in all of this, I see that Trudeau has aspirations of live action role playing as a farmer, but he doesn't want to actually do any of the hard work. The first inkling I get that Trudeau might want to be a farmer is here on page 48, where bureaucrats are looking into regulations regarding livestock on the property. God help the livestock. Now, right here on page 49, you can see that Trudeau insisted on becoming a bee farmer. Now, to get the bees, 2 hives actually, all set up, it costs $9,000. And then it's going to cost $3,000 every single year going forward to keep Trudeau's novelty dreams of running an apiary alive, because the work is now being contracted out. Further to Trudeau's agricultural dreams, taxpayers spent $4,000 to build him an organic garden, and then we get to pay $2,000 every single year going forward to pay someone else to garden the garden for him, because we can't have his nails getting dirty, even though we made the water harder for him so that it's a lot more fun for him to wash his hands. Oh, and then taxpayers spent a total of $13,500 to repair the garden fence, which will be used to keep the deer from eating Trudeau's expensive organic garden. And then we get into some of the more ridiculous demands, if that were even possible, of Canada's man-child prime minister. Trudeau wants a treehouse, but not just any treehouse. He wants one with a zip line. To be fair, it's unclear who ended up paying for the treehouse in the end, but the email discussing the construction of the treehouse reads, "Met on site regarding the treehouse. The contractor mentioned there's a zip line too. I explained the safety and civil engineers needed to see the plan." So even if Justin Trudeau actually sprung for the treehouse himself, now we've got government safety and civil engineers examining the plans, and I can't imagine that runs cheap. Then there are a series of emails and images exchanged between bureaucrats discussing a tree swing, because Justin Trudeau really wants one and the bureaucrats really wanted to get it just right. I believe in the end they settled on putting the swing somewhere other than the white pine tree because it wasn't, quote unquote, robust enough. How big of a person is going on this tree swing? Was Justin Trudeau using it himself? I wouldn't be surprised. Anyway, now I think this last item that I'm going to be talking about today shows just how detached Justin Trudeau is from regular Canadians, the middle class, and those working hard to join it, as Trudeau likes to say. I caught my first glimpse of this in an email with the subject line of H Lake Rink Update. Now the H, of course, stands for Harrington Lake. So I guess they have a bit of a skating rink at Harrington Lake. That's fine. I have one too. It cost me a little gasoline in the quad to clear off the pond, maybe $10 all in. Skating on a lake or a pond is fun. Normal Canadians do it all the time. It's in our DNA. But like all things Trudeau, his rink is far from average. Oh no, this rink that you and I are paying for is a fully groomed ice surface with a change hut to put your skates on. No one is sitting on a straw bale next to some cattails beside a frozen slough here. Here's the email. We have made an access path from the garage to the change hut, which is the safest route. Rink was flooded yesterday. We are doing our best to improve the ice surface. We can try to flood again tomorrow to get another layer if it is cold enough. Now, how much did improving Trudeau's ice quality cost us? It's right here on page 52. $2,000. That's not all with this rink. On page 138, we can see that one of the supervisors who works the grounds and gardens at the official residences of the Prime Minister is sending an email to a colleague, the Executive Director of Events, Household and Visitor Services, inquiring about borrowing skates and snowshoes. But when we got this access to information request back, you can see here, the bureaucrats have blocked out the sizes of the skates, how many skates are being requested, and how many pairs of snowshoes are being requested, and who is making the request. Which means, obviously, that this is the Prime Minister and or his family making this specific request. And how do I know? Because if it were some boring old bureaucrat, I'd see their name, no problem, like every other bureaucrat I've read through in this access to information package and every other access to information package. this stuff, the skates and snowshoes, it's not really all that expensive. That's not what should irk us here. It's just so petty and entitled that the silver spoon millionaire is asking bureaucrats to run around and find his family skates for free while he takes away the child fitness tax credit to help offset the cost of skates and hockey for the rest of us. I know today's video had a lot in it to digest, but I'm not quite done with this access to information package quite yet. On Monday, I'm going to bring you a full accounting of the adventures of Justin Trudeau's sauna at Harrington Lake. Yes, the sauna expenses are so large and so ridiculous and ultimately so bungled that they deserve their own video. So stay tuned. For the Rebel.media, I'm Sheila Gunn Reid. At the Rebel, we hold the government and politicians to account in ways that you won't see done in the mainstream media, like filing these expensive access to information requests. The best way to support our independent journalism, though, is to treat yourself to a Rebel subscription today.